Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Governance and Finance Committee for April 23rd. Roll call and posting of the agenda.
Member Basua?
Here.
Member Tehran?
Here.
Chair Zaragoza?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on April 16th, 2024.
Thank you. Please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments, any speakers for items not on the agenda?
Chair Zaragoza, we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is item C. This is consent agenda. City Clerk Department, approval of the minutes. Recommendation that the Finance Governance Committee approve the minutes of April 9, 2024 as a regular meeting as presented. Council members, committee members, any concerns on this item? If not, we need a vote. First by...
Yes, I'll move to accept the minutes as presented.
I will second.
Second by Basua. First by Tehran, second by Basua. Please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Our next item is D1, the Finance Department presentation of a single audit report. Recommendation that the Finance Governance Committee receive the 2023 single audit report for the audit from the audit firm of Eddy & Payne, and recommend staff to forward the presentation to the City Council. And I understand that we have a live presentation. Mr. Javier?
Good afternoon. Yes, we have the external auditors, Eddy & Payne, available for a presentation. And this item basically is the audit for all the federal grants that the city has received, over $750,000 in fiscal year 22-23.
Okay, so what do we have, Eden? Good evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and Javier. Good evening, members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen who are watching or not watching. Thank you for this opportunity to provide you an overview of the single audit report we issued for the city for the year ended June 30, 2023. But first, I want to introduce to you Eddy & Payne's newest star audit manager, Benita Kongpech. She started with Eddy & Payne a few months ago, and her very first job was the audit of City of Oxnard. So yes, we threw her into the fire, and she survived.
Okay. Her name is Anita, you said? Anita?
Benita.
Benita, okay. Welcome, Benita. After you introduce her again. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she will be making her first appearance before the committee tonight, and Benita's over more than 10 years of experience in public accounting, a lot of those with a Big Four firm in the East Coast, so we're lucky to have her. So I wanted to share the slides here.
Okay.
Can I do that? Yeah, okay. So can you see that?
Yes, yeah, we can. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just the cover. So I'm gonna go to. Doesn't gonna go. There you go.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So this will be our agenda. I will talk about the single audit report in general, followed by a brief discussion of what's included in the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. I will refer to this schedule as the CFA. Then I will discuss what major federal programs were tested during our audit this year. Benita will present number 4 and number 5, internal control findings and management and recommendations.
Okay.
So what's a single audit? I believe Javier had said this is an audit of federal programs. So it's a requirement by the Office of Management and Budget. when a non-federal entity, like a government or non-government entity, spends over $750,000 in federal awards. A single audit is required to be submitted to the federal government and is also to the state of California when you receive the federal grants through the state. The single audit report for City of Oxnard that was issued for fiscal year 2023 was dated March 22, 2024, and it was submitted to the federal government on March 29, 2024, just one day before the due date.
Great.
The report includes the reports listed on this slide. The first one is a report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. If you have a copy of the single audit report, that is located on page 1 and 2 of the single audit report. On this report, the government auditing standards require that we report to you any internal control findings related to financial reporting or financial statements that are considered significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. We are also required to report to you any instances of non-compliance with laws and regulations that could have a direct and material effect on the financial statements. We're happy to report that we did not find any deficiencies or non-compliance to report related to fiscal year 2023. By the way, we did not issue an opinion on internal control because the procedures that we've done are not sufficient for us to provide an opinion. So the second, third, and fourth items on this list are included in one report on pages 3 to 5. So this is a 3-in-1 report. For compliance for each major program, we issued an opinion that the city complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements that could have a direct and material effect on each of the city's major federal programs for fiscal year 2023. So it's another clean opinion, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you so much.
It was great. Yes. So for internal control over compliance, we do not issue an opinion on internal control. But we are required to report any internal control deficiencies related to compliance that we noted during our audit that we considered significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Again, we did not find any deficiencies to report during fiscal year 2023. Finally, on the fourth bullet there, for the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, or CFA, we issued what is called an in relation to opinion on the schedule. This means that we conducted auditing procedures that are applied to the audit of the financial statements, such as comparing and reconciling the information included in the CFA to the basic financial statements or underlying data used in preparing the basic financial statements of the city. And as such, because the city's basic financial statements were audited by us and we gave them a clean opinion, we can say that the CFA is fairly stated in relation to the basic financial statements as a whole. So that's a lot. Do you have any questions?
No, I know that Benita's going to give us some additional information, but I'm probably going to share that what you said, that in your opinion, the city complied with all material respects with the compliance requirement referred to, as you just stated, with the direct and material effect of each of the major federal programs, which I think is important that the public understand that we complied with all those federal programs, which is which is excellent. And I'm sure that Panita's probably going to add some more to that. But I just wanted to share that before you left this one particular report.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is a very important report for the city. It's about as important as having your financial statements be clean. It's because you get a lot of money, and the city gets a lot of money from, the state as well as the federal government, that are used for services to the residents of the city. And if you don't have a clean opinion on compliance with the grants, they could be taken away. You could have to, reimburse the federal government or the state for monies that were provided to the city. So it is very important to have that.
And I think it's really transparent too, which I think is really, really important, especially when you're dealing with governmental funds, and so forth. I think it's important that we follow that. Mr. Finance Director, any additional comments on that?
I will also highlight that this is also important for future grants and that we can apply, because as long as the city is having a clean opinion, it's also considered as a low-risk auditee, and that opens the door for future grant
For
applications.
additional funding. Councilmember Duran.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that statement there. I'm curious if we were to simplify that for members of the public, would that be equivalent of creditworthiness or a credit rating for the city, similar to what consumers might have?
I think that's a good analogy. That means that what this report is basically telling is that the credit rating for the city is improving and is in good standing.
Great, thank you very much.
It's a good FICO score.
Yes, a good FICO score. Correct.
So we go to Panetta now, or Panetta?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to have her tell the story as well, but I have just some, overall reports here for, because we're auditors, we like numbers. The schedule of expenditures of federal awards, or the CFA, reported over 24 million in total expenditures for fiscal year 23. This is actually around $10 million less than prior year, because remember, in prior year, you expended a total of $27 million in ARPA funds. Yep. This year, the total expenditures for ARPA was approximately $10 million. Mm-hmm. However, even though you have less expenditures, you have 5 major programs this year compared to 1 last year. That's because 5 programs exceeded the threshold of $750,000, which is the threshold for large programs, or what the federal government calls Type A program. 4 of those large programs have not been tested in the past 2 years, so now they are required to be tested. And then the 5th one was the ARPA fund, which is required to be tested every year until it's all gone, because it is considered a high-risk program. So next year you will see that again. In prior year, there were only 2 other programs that exceeded the Type A threshold, but they have been tested in the prior 2 years, so they did not need to be tested again. So there were a total of 20 federal programs administered by the city in fiscal year 2023. Last year, or the year before, it was 19 programs. Mm-hmm. So it's really a lot of programs that benefit the city.
Okay.
So this is just a list of major programs tested in fiscal year 2023. We have the Local Government Fiscal Recovery Fund, or are also known as ARPA Fund. That comes from the Department of Treasury, and also some $500,000 passed through the California Water Resources Control Board. There's the Highway Planning and Construction Cluster coming from the State of California Department of Transportation. Actually, it comes from Department of Transportation, federal government. It's just passed through the state. Hazard Mitigation Grant Program was passed through the California Office of Emergency Services. The Home Investment Partnership Program, which is a direct program from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And then lastly, the Assistance to Firefighters Program, which is coming from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and also passed through the County of Ventura. So that is actually a total of $20 million that were tested during the fiscal year 2023. So I just want to say that, again, we did not find instances of non-compliance during fiscal year 2023. So now you can have Benita.
Benita, okay, thank you. Welcome, Benita.
Hello, sorry, can anyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. We can
Okay,
hear you.
all right. Okay, so for this slide, internal control findings, there are no single audit findings in 2022. And as Eden mentioned earlier, there is no findings in 2023. For the information technology general control findings that we found in 2020, and we tested in May of 2023, based on our testing, there are no additional findings, and some of the findings have been remediated. However, there are 7 findings remaining as of May 2023. The IT department and city management have been made aware of the findings. These findings reveal risk and have the potential to increase the city risk. Therefore, we did not publish it. City management can provide a confidential report if you need further details. Any questions before we move on to the next slide?
Any questions, Council? No, let's go ahead.
All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this slide lists items that we identified during the 2023 financial statement audit and our recommendations to management. We believe that the implementation of these recommendations will provide the city with stronger internal control while also making the city's operations more efficient. The first bullet point, investment policy review. The purpose of the adoption of an investment policy is to set forth the overall investment philosophy of the city as decided by the City Council. An investment policy is a very effective means of protecting the city asset. Therefore, we suggest the city review the policy and implement procedures that are carried out.
Okay.
Second, in investment statement review. We advise the city to review investment statements regularly to ensure timely and accurate recording of interest income, earned dividends, and fair market values. This proactive approach will help the city prevent significant adjustments at year end. Third recommendation, GASB 87 and GASB 96 journal entries review. GASB 87 is the accounting for leases, and GASB 96 is the accounting for subscription-based IT arrangements. The city utilized that book, which is a lease and subscription management software, to help implement accounting for GASB 87 and GASB 96. That book offers user-friendly features for generating schedules and journal entry required for compliance with GASB 87 and GASB 96. We recommend the city review journal entries in that book for accuracy before posting them to the city general ledger. Additionally, we suggest the city to diligently review critical data entered that book to ensure the precision of output information.
Benita, question real quick before you. GASB 87 and 96, did I hear correctly that we should have our city employees will have more training on GASB 87 and 96? Is that yes or no?
So No, but Gatsby 87 and Gatsby 96, the city already utilize
Oh,
that
okay.
book, which is, like they are the, like third party that specialize in, implementation of this accounting. And like that, that book already provide a lot of like information
Okay.
and that will help the city, generate the journal entry. So our recommendation is, make sure that utilize, what was,
Okay.
what was provided before you book the entries.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay,
You're welcome.
If I may,
yep,
just to clarify, that book is the tool that the accounting team used to generate all the entries related to the leases and to the IT subscription related entries.
and it's a tool that they use, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
And what the auditors are recommending that we need to do a better job just reviewing all the information that is produced by that software before we just recognize those entries in our accounting system.
Gatsby's been implemented for a couple of years now, I think.
So Gatsby 87 has been now for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
And this was the first year where Gatsby 96 has been in place.
Right. Thank you so much for the explanation.
Okay. And the last bullet point is recommendation relating to fighting on Tyler Minute System. We have communicate the fighting to the city management and recommend the city implement strategies aimed at addressing the identified risk to strengthen controls and reduce IT-related risk. As mentioned in the previous slide, this fighting review risk. So therefore, we did not publish it. So please contact city management for the confidential report if you need further details.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, and thank you again. I think one of the things that I also picked up that no single audits were any additional audits were found. So I think that the recommendations for management are good recommendations, and I'm sure that our finance director Javier is going to be implementing those management recommendations. So, any additional comments, Javier, on this? And now.
Not at this moment.
Can I add something else,
Yeah, go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the single audit report actually includes management responses to the findings or our comments. So there's also the management comment letter that we had provided to city management can be shared with you as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any public
Chair Zaragoza, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
You okay, Councilor Turan?
Thank you, and thank you both for the presentation and update and the good news about this particular audit. Much appreciated. A quick question I have, and I note that this item and the next item does have reference to our still in progress findings, and I understand the importance of the confidentiality and the nature of it, but I'm just, can we ask, I see our IT director is here, if we feel that we're on a trajectory to be addressing that as we stand today as a city.
That one item there.
Hello and good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, we are on a good trajectory for that. We've made some really positive progress, certainly over the last 12 months and the 12 months before that. So as we continue to work down these issues, we're definitely on a good path and in a good trajectory.
Great, thank you for that. And I think it's important for folks to understand that you certainly see our roads and you see our alleys and see our landscaping, but there are other avenues in which we service the public, and one of those is the backbone of our IT system, which serves all of our departments that serve the public directly, and our IT system also has ways in which it serves the public. And so there are important investments and infrastructure we're doing with our IT infrastructure that are going to be, even though physically unseen, important that we be as robust as possible, just as we would properly maintain street and alley. So thank you for the update on that. And again, thank you for the presentation.
My pleasure, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Basua?
No, just I have no comments. Thank you
No
for the
comments?
presentation.
A motion on this item?
Yes, I will move that we have staff forward this presentation to the full council.
I will second.
Second by Councilman Basua, first by Tehran, second by Basua. Please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Our next item is D2. This is Finance Department again. Update on the financial correction plan, the FCAP for closing past audits findings. Recommendation the Finance Governance Committee receive an update on the Finance Corrective Action Plan FCAP for closing past audit findings and recommend staff forward the presentation to the City Council. And we have Mr. Javier. Any additional comments on this item? Yeah, I know it's been, by the way, just for, let me say that this is under Measure M, my pre-recorded presentation, and there was a recording, and we do have our Finance Director, Javier, here for any questions. Or any additional comments you might want to share then.
I just want to share with the council members that we have our internal control manager, Jennifer Irauca, is present here in case you have any questions.
I just want to share again, that I think this is an excellent report. We had 159 correction audits before. Now we're down to one. We just talked about that, which is, to me, that's outstanding, which is really, really great, In 2 years in a row, we've had no findings, which is really great, and we continue to update our financial processes and procedures and working with the ERP stabilization periods, which I think is going to really help us to really continue with this great audits. In the third year in a row that had no material audits, which I think is extremely, extremely important. So, I'm not sure if I recapped this thing, but I think it's an excellent report. That's really, I believe that the public needs to know this. Went from 159 down to one, and of course we just said we're working on that. Which, Council Member, any additional questions?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank the team for bringing this forward and highlighting this for the public today. And as the mayor mentioned, the unprecedented, as was stated back then, the unprecedented situation in which a city would have so many audit findings, it deserves to be said that it should also be recognized to go from that many audit findings to now just one that is currently in progress and being addressed, and as we heard, is on a positive trajectory. That should also be recognized. And our team really, I hope that you all hear my heartfelt thanks for all of the hard work on this from our finance folks and all of the other departments that were directly affected by this and have on paper now and in official reports have turned things around for the city in just a few short years to have us be doing what we need to be doing for the public and doing it in a positive way that meets all government and these administrative regulations. So thank you all for that hard work. I hope that you understand that. And the last thing I'll say, Mayor, when I came onto the council in 2021, it was still pointed out, hey, the city had this many findings, the city had this many findings. And at that point, it was already several years old. And so it was a little, my opinion, a little tiring hearing about it when we were on already a trajectory to solve that. Now in 2024, I don't hear much about the audit findings from the 14-15 fiscal year and the few years after that. And I have to thank those who kept bringing it up. The fact that they're not talking about it anymore, they must also recognize and realize that the city has made positive progress in this area. And so you're welcome to reach out to me, talk to me about potholes in your alley and the issues with broken lids on your trash cans, but I am pleased to hear that there's not a whole lot of talk about audit findings from 10 years ago anymore. So thank you again to the team, and thank you, Mayor, for the comments.
Transparency, really, really important. Councilwoman?
I couldn't say it better. So thank you.
Motion. The
Mayor
speakers?
Zaragoza. There's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you. So, Councilman Basua
I will move the recommended action.
will move.
Second?
Second by Councilman Turan. Please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, and council members, item E, any items for future agendas?
None at this time. Thank you.
No, none for me. We are adjourned. Thank you.